Hey, this is Ross Payton with Role Playing Public Radio, and this is RPPR episode 81, Mega Damage. And with me, as always, is Tom Church.
Are any of us really here, truly?
Yes, we're on the internet, Tom, a vast network of tubes and cats.
Well, in that case, we're fucking real.
Yes, we are.
And I'm here with
real.
you, absolutely, on this internet thing.
With Grumpy Cat and some
and all the other
rage
cats.
faces and all the other memes that are new and topical.
We are one with them.
We even lift. So we lift dice to roll them. That's what I would see what I did there.
And soon RPPR will have as many hits as Gangnam Style.
Tom, don't even joke about that.
Oh, it's done.
That's
my prediction.
You
like those predictions I made for the election.
And the Mayan apocalypse?
Totally.
Yeah.
Hey, enjoy the time you have left.
All right. So it's been a while. We have been quite busy here at RPPR recording new actual play episodes. And of course, I've been working on Base Raiders. And first off, before we get to the main episode topic, which is about the Palladium system, this episode topic, it shall be noted, was chosen by Mr. Tom Church here.
I did.
And
the title, the topic, I chose it. I felt
he is responsible, is what I'm saying. He is liable for it. He is.
Oh, I see where this is going. Yeah.
So,
and I'm allowing you to pitch your crap on my episode. That's what I'm doing.
This is news,
for you.
Tom. This is news. News. First off, news. Storybundle.com. This is a kind of like the Humble Bundle and all these other bundles, but for books instead, ebooks instead of video games. And there are 8 books, including Zombies of the World, as long as you pay the average of $8 or more per book, or for the bundle, you can get all 8 books. And they also have a novel. There's 8 books, fiction, nonfiction, and one of these novels is from F. Paul Wilson, author of
The Keep.
Yes,
one of my favorite books.
And the novel is called The Select. It's a medical thriller. And just go to storybundle.com, take a look. This is also, it should be noted, this is the first time I've updated the ebooks for Zombies of the World since I released it last year. And so I finally created an iPad version of Zombies of the World. So if you get the Story Bundle, you'll get the PDF, the Kindle, and the EPUB version of it. After the Story Bundle, I'll release the EPUB version separately, so you can buy that if you don't want to get everything, but it's $8, so why aren't you getting it? So tell your friends, tell your families. It's a great Christmas gift. You can gift it to other people. So that is my plug.
This pitch brought to you by Tom's episode.
It's news, Tom. It's news. It's press release or some crap like
brought
that.
to you by my episode.
And in other news, Base Raiders. Now this is you can't even talk about like that as promotional because this is fucking on topic for the podcast, Tom. So I don't want to hear it. Anyway, yeah, that's right. Base Raiders.
None of you can see it, but I'm staring at him.
Yeah, he is not. He is a grumpy Tom. So in Base Raiders, we're hard at work writing away. We've already started assigning art to Ian Moody and the other artists, like the cover artist Ian McNelson is doing some of the portraits for the NPC chapter, and the Pariah, the short story. I finished that. I've gotten the proofreading editing marks back from the editors. Ian Moody's coming cover art for the ebook version of that, and so it's going to be 10,000 words about. So a little longer than a short story, but not quite a novella. It's kind of in between. Anyways, I'll get that out hopefully within a week as soon as I get the cover art and I finish editing it, making all the revisions necessary. And when I send that out, all the backers who also get all my other ebooks, I'll just create a zip file with all those. I'll message you on Kickstarter with all the info for all that. So I'm hard at work, and if you have any questions on it, feel free to ask on the RPPR Facebook group, the Kickstarter, the forums, wherever. Just
Ross has spoken.
Yes, I'm here for you, the RPPR fan base. Oh, and one other thing, actually, recently I posted a one shot of Call of Cthulhu called Hotline Miami. And I did something unusual with that. Well, the whole game is pretty fucking weird, and
I can contest it. I was in it.
And the thing that made it unusual is I actually did a postmortem where I wrote a detailed blog post on slangdesign.com describing how the fuck I merged Call of Cthulhu with Hotline Miami. Because if you're familiar with Hotline Miami, you know there's not exactly it can be pretty horrific, but it's not explicitly a horror title. So I was kind of going a little off the
David
beaten
Lynch
path. Yeah, very David Lynchian. So if you want to understand what the hell my thought process was for that, you can read a behind the scenes kind of design.
It's a great read and shows why Ross needs many years of therapy.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Did you read it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Any thoughts on it? Any critique?
Well, I knew where it was going, and I thought it was a great idea, so I really didn't need an explanation. But it confirmed a lot of my suspicions, and I realized that, I actually realized when I first started, oh god, this stuff he's telling me I'm probably gonna die, but that's what my character's thinking right now. Me with my rolling of a 3 for power.
Yeah.
And by God, I kept it.
Yeah. Well, once you did that, I was kind of reluctant to make sanity because I wanted you to be around for the finale. So I metagamed.
You gave me a great way to do it. Thank you, Ross. You're helping, son of a bitch. When Ross as a GM starts helping you, I'm doing quote marks in the air. You're screwed.
Yeah. No, not always. Just
about all the time.
In horror games, yeah. So
yeah.
Let's moving on to the main topic. I guess that's it for the news. So Tom, you want to talk about Palladium?
I did.
The company, the games. Well,
I think it's I kind of want to avoid the company. I mean, I'm sure there was that interview by Bill Coffin that was. Yeah,
there's a lot of
stuff on
there's
that.
There's a lot of gossip.
And that's not really what I'm interested in right now.
Sure.
I thought, ever since we started doing these, episodes on individual systems like Eclipse Phase, D&D.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do one on Palladium because it is mainly because it's the game Ross and I both started with.
Yeah. Independently of each other.
Independently. This is before we met.
Yeah.
And it was also actually the same game, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness.
Yes, I've related the anecdote of my first character and his first death in my first fairy game. It
was your brother.
No, no, it was
your brother's friend, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Who killed my character? So,
look, hey Ross, I'm playing with the big kids. Is this cool? Can I?
Pretty much. I think that's how it kind of went. But what about you?
It was my first character was actually a mutant greyhound. Yeah. I forget the name, and he was also my first death. How did you die?
One of the scenarios in the book, you're tracking down some Wolverine or a badger with an eye patch or something, and the scenario explicitly states he's hiding in a freight car, there's this freight car that he uses, but in the train yard. But if you open the door without checking for traps, there's a package of C4 that will blow you up if you don't check for traps or use your sixth sense or anything. So I was like, fuck, I opened the door. Oh, I blow up. Okay, I guess I'm dead. So that's pretty much in the scenario.
Mine was a gas tanker truck explosion.
Okay.
Because the GM had apparently recently watched The Terminator.
Yeah.
And thought, it really did kind of come out of nowhere. We were actually, we were trying to track down what we thought were a group of renegade mutants in the Mojave Desert. Who were raiding, it was kind of like The Hills Have Eyes, except it's mutant animals who are raiding cars on the road, and we were trying to stop them. And then this gasoline tanker truck comes by and apparently trips one of their tire slashing traps they set for cars, and it careened over the edge to where we were. And
nice.
And it exploded. And we all had to make apparently get out of the way rolls, and I did not do very well.
Well, what was that roll?
It was a D20. It was a D20, and pretty much the GM was like my age. He was like 8.
Yeah.
But even he knew there was nothing, so he just said, roll a D20 and get above 10.
So he just arbitrarily makes up the rules.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
it's a great
in a nutshell.
It's a segue into the actual thing that.
Let's talk about Palladium.
Let's do.
So with it, we played Palladium both for
many years up till high school.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was you can date it exactly. The games I played were Palladium, then AD&D, the second edition right before third edition. Although not very much. I read the books, but I didn't actually play very much. nobody else was interested. But I mean, I just couldn't get enough of Dungeons and Dragons. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then
mine was Palladium, AD&D, and World of Darkness.
Yeah, well, I got into a little bit of the World of Darkness too. Again, reading more than I actually played. And
books were cool.
Yeah, and then Third Ed came out. Third Ed Dungeons and Dragons came out, and then that never looked back.
I remember in our group that did kind of change everything.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed kind of like pointless to play. Obviously, AD&D was obsolete, and World of Darkness was just kind of even by then the meta plot was just too much to keep up with, and Palladium, it took third. I mean, people talk about how bad third edition is, but compared to Palladium, it was a breath of fresh air, and you can see. I could see why, like after I started playing Third Ed, why I would never want to go back to Palladium, because just the game mechanics are so different, and the game mechanics do make a huge difference.
They do indeed.
Because the example of your character's first death, giant fucking gas tanker truck is coming towards you, falling off the bridge, careening towards you. How do you not die? Well, in Third Ed, that's very easy. You make a dex check or a reflex save, which is derived from your dex and your character class. So that's very easy to figure out, and that's something anyone could do. But with Palladium, there is no sort of universal game, or you don't need a new universal game mechanic. There's no game mechanic period for that kind of situation. I mean, that's kind of Palladium in a nutshell for me, which we mentioned, but there's no nuts and bolts basic mechanics to get you do common things. Like every set of most role-playing games I've seen have like here's how you do common things, here's how you handle common situations, falling, poison, avoiding large explosions, skill challenges, how to do difficult skill challenges, how to do chases, very kind of like things that would happen in any kind of story that have any kind of action. But I mean, I'll go grab a copy of Riffs
trust me, I've been researching this quite a bit during the whole time. As Ross leaves the area, oh, there he goes, he's gone. But he'll come back. He'll come back. He always does.
Keep talking.
I know, but
reaching over to get.
I know, but
my hardbound copy.
I know, which we both bought for one game.
Yeah. Just for, the Eliminators. This is a signed copy, by the way. Explore the Megaverse, Kevin Symbieta, and then some other people whose names probably Alex Markinson. I cannot read their names.
Well, that's the problem often with signatures.
Yeah. Anyways.
But and the thing is, I'm going to tell you that I remember when Third Ed first came out, and actually, I was like you, but I was a little more closeted. I still had a lot of loyalty to Palladium at that point, but as I played Third Ed, it did strike me that this is a better system. Because, in that one, most of the roles you can make are clearly defined and explained. And there's I think you really boil it down to the saves, fortitude, reflex, and will. A lot of your shit can be determined between that and then your base attack and then your AC.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing that I liked about Third Ed is like you instinctively understand your saves are like reactive. Mm-hmm. They're not active abilities. They're how you react to certain situations, how you avoid danger, how you overcome certain sort of challenge. It's not, you don't make a reflex save to do something actively, like you don't make a will save to outthink a guard or outthink, figure out a puzzle or something like that. You don't use a reflex save to beat a guard in a chase, usually. So they use attribute checks for that, or skill checks, and skill checks are derived from your attributes. And a few other things, and it's very easy to figure that out. So, like they divide your abilities.
The thing with Palladium is that there's so many saves that they have. I mean, just just actually when you're choosing your hand-to-hand skill, doing your combat bonuses, there's about 9 they list. First, it's the type of hand-to-hand you have. Then it goes, like the number of attacks per round you have. It's then there's strike, hand-to-hand damage.
Well, first, since I have the book,
I've memorized most of them.
Well, or for the savings throws.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are they?
All right. Saving throws. This is just the combat stuff that I remember. Once again, it goes type, then it goes the number of attacks, hand-to-hand damage, save. It's then it goes to strike, parry, dodge. Parry and dodge are two separate.
No, those are. I'm talking about saving throws, not like bonuses on your hand-to-hand. Not your to parry and dodge. Saving throws like save.
There's save versus coma death, save versus poison, save versus psionic attack. Then there's these are all stuff derived from your stats. There's charm and impress.
That's an attribute.
It's an attribute.
It's
thing.
not. Then that's a percentile ability and mental affinity.
So there you go. So
that's an active ability. Not
there's
can you list all the saving throws and riffs?
And the thing is, I've been actually making characters and researching this for 3 days. No, I cannot remember them all.
For the record, here are the saving throws.
Go
Page
for it.
346 of Rift's Ultimate Edition. Cure, curses, 15 or better. That's just what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Disease, 14 or better. Lethal poison, 14 or better. Non-lethal poison, 16 or better. So it's harder to save versus non-lethal poison.
Yeah.
Harmful drugs, 15 or better. I don't know what a harmful drug is compared to a poison, but... Acids, no save possible, dodge. Insanity, 12 or better, sometimes higher. When is it higher? We don't know. Magic, 12 to 16, depending on the power level of the spellcaster. 16 or higher to save versus ritual magic. Psionic, 6 or better for Psi Stalkers. 10 or better for Master Psychics. 12 or better for Major and Minor Psychics. I don't know why Minor Psychics have it. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. 15 for ordinary people and animals. So those are the saving throws. So you can. It doesn't give you what gives you a bonus to those. What
that comes from your stats and other things.
Yeah, not that they would list like 15 or better. Plus
they didn't even list save versus coma or death.
Not here. Not
that's one of them because
that's an injury. That's a totally different section.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know where that is. Like, all right, let's talk about this some more. Like, I'm just looking here, and let's look at the contents. Just like, all right, first we have the setting, page 9, blah blah blah, overview of CS life, blah 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 blah. All right, so the first 41 pages of the game are
background, setting.
All right, fair enough.
Cool. Yeah.
Characters, game designer notes, blah blah blah. List of character classes. First character class is on page 45, and that goes to goes for a while. Dragon Hatchling 156. So we got 110, 120 pages of
character classes.
Then we have psionic powers and magic. That's immediately after characters. Then we have more than magic spells, a list of all the magic spells, list of all the psychic powers. Then we have we go back to setting material. Coalition states, 229. So then we do the coalition states, and there's the coalition OCCs. Back to some more OCCs that we missed earlier.
Oh, well, thank God for that.
Yeah, and then we coalition equipment, then common equipment, mega damage capacity body armor, weapons, robot vehicles, and game rules, page 274, how to roleplay, what you need to play. Character creation, page 279. So we have the character classes listed before character creation rules. Then we have the skill rules. Skill list takes up 30 pages. Then insanity, right after skills. Then combat rules. Then battle injuries and recovery. That's where you want the save versus coma death. Let's find out what that is, by the way. That's 354. And I'm sure the listeners really want to know this.
I know. They're following with rapt attention as Ross flips pages.
I know. All right. So saving versus coma death. This is actually a percentile thing, and it's based on like what kind of treatment you're getting. Although apparently
your physical endurance gives you a bonus depending on what it is.
Yeah. So you do have that. So battle injury, mega damage, ranged combat, psychic combat.
And this is the Rift's base book.
This is the Ultimate Edition. This is a revised edition. This isn't even. This is the one they thought like we need to streamline. We need to make Rifts
because
better.
I mean it's like the fans have been asking for that for ever since Rifts came out.
Yeah. So I mean, you go through here and you don't have any clearly defined game mechanics to explain what your character can do, what he can't do. I mean, you kind of do, but you don't have these things like. There's so many times in Risk where you have situations like, how do I do this? You know, like you have to make it up on the spot. You just kind of have to adjudicate it on the spot. Which, I mean, I understand from Rift's and Palladium systems origins in the '80s. Yeah, that was fine because that was the prehistory. That was caveman era, and the Wild West.
He's like, kill everything, get stuff. Fuck you.
Yeah, but I don't know. It is kind of. You're just going through here, and you have all these different roles. You have all these skills. That's another thing. Like you have all these skills that are just percentiles. That
all start at exactly the same level. You might get a bonus depending on what profession you choose.
Yeah.
And then there's some of the physical skills, just the shit that you'd be crazy not to take certain physical skills.
Yeah.
Because boxing comes to mind.
Yeah.
Which gives you another attack per melee.
Yeah. So there's clearly tiered skills, there's the
must-haves
class, and versus road-wise or safe cracking.
And so another thing I found interesting that I didn't even realize until recently.
Yeah.
Ranged attack has nothing to do with the bonus to strike you get for your physical prowess.
You didn't know that?
No.
I knew that.
I know it now.
Well, I've always known that, Tom.
Of course you did, Ross. Ross always knows it, he said knowingly.
Yeah. Well, actually, they might have changed that. I think... no, maybe you're right. No. Wait, did they change that? I could just... damn. I actually don't remember. I thought I did, but... Now I'm doubting my own... Mm-hmm. This is what Palladium does to me. Like, I'm doubting my own memory. I can't even begin to. So, that's the thing. So comparing it to Third Ed, so Third Ed has you have your character class, you have these many skill points, you can put them in these categories or in these skills. Fighters get access to these skills. Mm-hmm. These are class skills, and there's cross-class skills, and there's a few skills that only rogues can get. And you add your attribute and the amount of skill points you have, and that's your skill bonus. And you can try these things untrained, which is just your attribute bonus. So it's a simple, clear, unified thing, covers all potential situations. So if you have someone who is trying to salvage something, which is a technical skill, and starts at 35% and 5% per level, and the salvage skill allows characters to find, identify, pick up, strip down, evaluate, possibly sell any debris, wreckage, and junk that they can locate. And all right, so how do you do that if you don't have that skill? And what does it mean when you fail that particular skill? Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the time in Third Ed, they tell you what happens when you fail.
A few of the skills in there do list it. Actually, the one that I can think off the top of my head, the cooking skill lets you know what happens with a failed roll.
Yeah, let's find out what that is.
Which it is the food is burnt, it tastes bad, kind of inedible.
We have the list here.
I know. I'm just remembering what it said in the last book I read of it.
All right, yeah. Let's see here. A roll failure means the food is not properly prepared. It is edible but tastes lousy. 35% plus 5% per level. So that's it, though. It's not like actual game mechanics.
And the only stat that really comes into play with your skills is the IQ stat.
Yeah,
which gives you a bonus per.
Yeah. Now they do have some.
And actually, this has always got me. They say that the IQ stat represents your character's actual IQ with adding a 0 to it. So the highest you can theoretically go with just rolling dice for your stats in an IQ is 24.
Yeah.
Which means you have an IQ of 240.
Right.
Which gives you a plus 10% on your skills.
Only 10%.
Only 10%.
What page is that? Jesus. And now I can't even tell.
It's with this, the description of the abilities. It's usually
280.
Okay. Actually, that leads me to another thing. Usually, that's in the first part of most Palladium books.
Yeah.
Now they're just throwing this shit around. The books they put together often this shit's
no index,
different.
By the way.
No index.
No glob. Yeah. All right. Yeah. IQ. Yeah. Plus 10%. You're right.
So going back to the salvage skill, if you take it as a level 1 character and you have an IQ of 240, it would be 45%.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now one thing is also there's no, let me check again. I don't see anything about one thing that Third Ed had was Like aid another. Like you could help somebody and give them a +2 to your roll. You could take 10. You could spend more time.
Or if
on
you
a
have,
roll.
like, you could take 20 if you had enough time. And
If you had enough time and there's no chance of failure, or losing materials or whatever you were trying to do. So you have all that, and you can succeed or fail based on that. But there's nothing like that. Or you could have penalties if you're, they had rules for how skills could be used in the game. Like, depending on the situation, you could be easier or harder. So players could game the situation to, like, if they really need to salvage that engine from that, wrecked starship or whatever, they could, like, we get all the 10 engineers and we spend 5,000 credits to get extra equipment. So blah, blah, blah. All right, here's a plus. There's no rule. There's no guidelines for that.
They mentioned that you can make things harder by giving penalties. And they even list a few penalties you can give in the book,
Right.
but that's it.
Right.
And there is something. There's no like player and player synergy.
Right.
You can't have someone help you.
Right. Which is just, this is obviously isn't limited to third ed.
No.
I mean, GURPS has this. Most systems that we've played, that I have played since, have had these basic
Eclipse phase
rules in it. Yeah, Eclipse phase, GURPS. I can't think of one that doesn't have it.
Palladium.
Yeah. Well, games that I've played. So
And
go on.
although I will say this, I'm going to try to list some things that I think are positive when compared to some other systems.
All right.
The physical beauty stat in this one, it actually means something. Unlike the Call of Cthulhu appearance stat, it actually lists a bonus to charm and impress.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can do that. Then again, that's kind of vague.
Well, there's also mental affinity, which is really charisma.
That's charisma.
And that's trust and intimidate. And so why do you have both of these?
But there's also, at least in one of the Palladium games, there's also the skill public speaking, which I would have thought if you have a bonus to your mental affinity, which is your charisma, surely you would have gotten a bonus to that skill. But no, you don't.
Yeah.
Or something like this. Yeah, the stats besides IQ have no bearing on your skills.
That's true. There is. I'm looking.
They're actually almost completely independent of the skills.
Yeah. So you have all these attributes that are either extremely useless or extremely useful, and there's no.
And I'll only say I even really don't mind the huge list of skills they have. I kind of think, I have a lot of options here. If especially if you pick 6 skills from this class, okay, well I have a huge list to choose from. And sure, and stuff like a clever GM could find uses for them too. That salvage skill. I mean, I'm sure you could well, I wasn't even planning on it, but now that you got it, I can make that part of it.
Right.
I don't mind that, but it's just they're the skills are a completely separate thing from everything else.
Right.
The only bonuses you get come from your class.
Right. Or your IQ. And
that's it.
You can't even, a standard thing is you can either be in third ed in most systems is you can either choose to be a general, jack of all trades or a specialist. You could be the rogue who fucking is really good at picking pockets and that's it. He spends as many skill points as he's possibly allowed to pick pockets. And, sleight of hand. And that's
and you take the feat of, skill focus as well.
So he can be really fucking good at that. Or stealth or whatever else, or you could choose to spend your points around a little average, so you're not super good at anything, but you're kind of good at a lot of stuff.
Actually, you can't really start as an expert in anything as a level 1 character in this.
Yeah,
and a lot of other systems you totally can do that. If you actually want, okay, I want to play an auto mechanic, a really good one. In most systems, you can do that. Okay, then just you put your points into that and bump that up. Even D20 Modern, you can do that with right. Okay, and then take skill focus, repair or whatever.
Right.
But in this one, all skills start at the same level besides your class bonus and your IQ.
Well, each skill starts at a different percentage level.
And some of them start exceedingly low.
Most of them start in the 20s to 30s, I've noticed.
There's a few that start in the 50s and 40s.
Yeah.
There are some that start in the teens.
Yeah. Creative writing 25%, sign language 35%, cowboy skills. There's a whole category of cowboy skills, domestic skills, gardening, fishing, and what's interesting is they're not all based divisible by 5. There's
Some it's like plus, it's like 4s.
Gardening's 36% plus 4% per level. So,
which means even if you get I believe the maximum number of levels you can have is 15.
Yeah.
Which I don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the most, whatever. I'm not. It's math, so f that.
It would be 96%.
Mm-hmm. So even if you got to the maximum level, you still wouldn't have the highest level.
Right. Electricity generation. So there's a lot of, so we've decided, the skill system, it doesn't have what any modern RPG would have. I mean, the closest one, the only other game, there is a game from the 80s we play a lot of, Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
The game based system and that
it's percentiles.
It's percentiles.
But you spend the points. You choose to a maximum of 75, you choose what skills you have.
Right. And everyone starts at, most people have a starting percentage in most of the skills. So you can try things untrained or with minimal training or whatever. Everyone has geography at 5% or whatever, or,
which ends every once in a while, you can do it.
So even from the 1980s, there's no real reason to have this kind of very arbitrary system where it's a binary choice. You either have the skill or you don't. And if you have the skill, it's fixed. You can't really do much about it. You can't even... you don't have anything like traits or feats or perks or anything to further distinguish your character.
Ever since Third Ed, I've really thought Palladium could use like feats,
right,
or something like that.
Because when you talk about a role playing game, you have to think about like what you want to do in it and what you want to achieve in this game. And a lot of games use their rules to sort of enforce what kind of setting they have. And I think Universal RPG is kind of a really hard thing to do. And if you do it well, you have to basically be GURPS, and GURPS already exists. So
it does.
why do that? But
thank you, Steve Jackson.
Thank you, Steve Jackson. So you have something like Call of Cthulhu, which is from the 80s, but they use the rules to reinforce that you're a normal human. You have skills, but you're a very fragile being. You don't have classes. You are whoever you say you are, or you are whatever your skills are. And you can improve your skills, but you can't really become exponentially more powerful. So that kind of reinforces the idea that, hey, Call of Cthulhu, being a human kind of sucks because there's fucking Cthulhu and he's going to eat you.
And even in the core book of Palladium, you got the Vagabond.
Yeah.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have Dragon Hatchling.
Right.
And
or Glitter Boys, which are the one man super cannon mecha.
And I know it's a variety and choice, and yes, I like that. I really do, but in a party, if you have someone that chooses Vagabond, and then you have someone that chooses Glitter Boy, there's not a lot they can do together.
Well, that's the thing. There have been RPGs that have done that since, and that's through balance. And it takes some metagaming work, like in the Dresden Files, the characters will have more fate points to, alter their roles or be luckier, or the kind of a game currents. We haven't played Dresden Files yet,
but it's on the horizon, we think.
Yeah. There are other games like the Buffy RPG had this explicitly, where you could choose to be a Slayer and be super badass, or you could be a White Hat. You could be her little helper, buddies, and the helper buddies weren't badass in combat, but they had a lot of abilities to be lucky, to avoid getting killed, and to research and investigate. And so it's like balanced like the ensemble TV show where everybody contributes a different way. But obviously Palladium does,
and we're picking on Rifts mainly.
Because Rifts is kind of
it is the penultimate Palladium game.
Well, yeah, well, it's the ultimate Palladium game. I mean, they haven't done anything since, so there's nothing more ultimate than Rifts. It's the ultimate edition, Tom. It's not penultimate; it's ultimate.
Oh well, forgive my presumption.
Yeah, well, I'll just be pendant. You see what I did there?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
Oh, we're gonna get some comments about that. So
yeah, and beyond the supernatural, I don't think I've played just a couple of games of it.
Right.
And you do play mostly normal people. I say mostly because there's still magic and psionics, and
right.
You're still a badass. You're still mainly a badass,
right.
and that's pretty much. And the thing is, like, Palladium is really a product of the 80s,
right?
And most 80s type games, you're badasses.
Yeah.
Period. That's just what
that
you do.
was the thing of the time. In the 90s, it was more, Yeah, even in the nine, the dominated by the world of darkness, there's still it's the gothic punk or whatever. You're still badass, but you have fangs, and you're being all the Crow about it. Like
thank you, Crow.
Yeah. So, or Edward Scissorhands, if you prefer. So
the thing, which actually, I actually kind of think this is my opinion. I think one of the most balanced Palladium games was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
right?
Because you could be ninjas and you had some animal powers, but that was really it.
Right.
It really came down to really your skills, the weapons you had.
Right.
So that still to me remains the one kind of balanced Palladium game there is.
Well, in the sense that the characters aren't, one person isn't a godling, the other person isn't a homeless person, I like how Vagabond is essentially like, every character has their own shtick. Like, I'm a pirate, I'm a ninja, I'm a homeless guy,
I'm a hobo.
Yeah, like
I'm a cosmic hobo.
Yeah, I'm just a hobo. That's my thing. That's my shtick. That's what I do. I'm a hobo. Like that's not very empowering.
It's like my bindle is mega damage armor, but
no, it's not. I'm just a hobo. That's all I have.
No, it's you had. You still had gear, so your bindle was mega damage.
No, I have the book. Do you want me to read the character class?
I really don't want you to read from a book, Ross. Lame people do that.
Oh, dis.
Yeah.
So, going past the skills, which are very inflexible, I think the thing about Rifts is the Palladium system in general, that really annoys me is every time it comes up with some limitation or you do that, the GM advice is always, just make something up. And just make something up. It's like, why do we even have you as a rule system if I have to make every goddamn thing up?
Yeah.
So, stop putting all of the burden on the GM. Like, you have to kind of put more responsibility in the fucking rules of the game. I don't know. Maybe that's me.
No, I see where I know. I agree. They do a lot. It seems to be then again, you just do whatever you like.
Yeah. So, and that's, I think, the reason the fans like it so much is because they just do what they like. They use the rules as a suggestion, and they like the material that is presented. Like, there's a little, 2 pages, on strength. On the levels of strength. There's human strength, robot strength,
supernatural strength,
cyborg strength, the juicer strength. I mean, there's multiple levels, so you can know exactly how strong your badass character is, which is insanely ridiculous. But there you go.
There you are.
But so going past the skills and the schizophrenic layout of the book, or the arrangement of information, and the lack of an index and that kind of thing. So ignoring all that,
ignoring all that stuff we just mentioned.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fucking. Oh, they do have a couple things in here that are just glorious. Like, I don't even see, where is that? There was a whole page on phobias.
Oh yeah. And drug addiction rules.
Here it is. There's a whole page, it's a percentile table, and it goes on to the second. It's a page and part of one.
Actually, that reminds me. It reminds me of something else. Palladium loves their random charts and rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, for everything.
For character class.
And once again, they always say, now it's completely optional.
Yeah.
But they devote so much space to it.
To be fair, it's kind of fun. Pick a number between 1 and 100, Tom.
91.
Doctors and scientists, or scientists. That's what you're afraid of.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Pick one more number. I just want to do
All right, cool. 29.
29, huh?
Yeah.
Psychic healing. Jesus, Tom.
I'm not doing that shit. Fuck, that's scary.
You're fucking...
Bartleby did that.
That's okay, one more. 3rd time's the charm.
All right. 73.
Devilman, a type of DB and any being with features reminiscent of a devil. So you fucking hate hospitals, you hate psychic healers, and you've got some issues.
I've got some serious issues.
You've got some very deeply issues about faith. Like, a clown doctor attacked you with psychic powers,
and he had devil horns.
Yeah, it's like Hellboy croaked you in a darkened nurse's office.
Oh, that brought back some memories I thought I had repressed.
So, for goofy fun, if you want to do have a fear of dinosaurs or elemental fusionists.
This is Rifts, by the way.
Yeah, this is apparently a new character class. You have random accession tables. You have random personality modification
well, the thing is,
while toxic. You have a drunk table. Like, what happens to you when your character gets drunk?
I know, and once again, like they say it's optional, but they just devote so much space to it.
Yeah, they do. And I mean that's the thing that they know what their audience likes. They care. Obviously, the fans of Palladium love character classes, where they list exactly what kind of special abilities they have, what kind of equipment they have.
You can also say D&D had loads of classes too. Well, but it was a few core classes and then a lot of prestige classes.
Well, in third ed, yeah, but D&D was always kind of balanced in the material they released. It was a lot of it was for the players. A lot of there were prestige classes, new weapons and magic spells and blah blah blah. Of course, a lot of the weapons and spells were for existing classes. Anyone could use them. If you could use a sword, you could use this new awesome sword that was in this new book. You didn't need to be the sword wielder of Urai Kai, who is the new OCC for Rift's World Book 84. Or you weren't, a magical tree wizard who's the only one who can wield these tree wizard spells. So, but the other thing is D&D also had a lot of GM stuff. Like they had dungeons and, dragons and monsters and monster manuals and a lot of support for
a lot of GM gear.
Yeah, a lot of stuff so that people could have great adventures with it. The book with it or with the game. And in Rifts, you just see the same kind of the formula of the world book introducing. Here's how this part of the world is fucked up. Here are all the monsters in it. Here's all the cool new shit. And here's some bad guys.
Go.
Yeah.
There were a few like campaign books. Like remember the Coalition War? They had like 4 books in the Coalition War campaign.
I think I saw one of those.
It didn't do very well, as I recall.
Yeah, it was very. And so. We're talking more, getting away from the rules. I mean, the combat is pretty much the same as skills. It's very like you roll, you have a bunch of modifiers to attack.
A lot of modifiers, to keep track of.
Strike, parry, dodge, roll with punch,
pull punch, initiative.
Punch. Yeah, but your options are very limited though. Despite all these bonuses, what can you actually do in battle? Let's take a look. Here we go. Combat rules. Step 1, determine initiative. All right, well.
Cool.
Most systems have that. Roll to strike. Attacker rolls to strike. Very well. Fair enough. Then there's, of course, a whole set of rules about whether it hits your body armor or not, which makes a lot of fucking difference with mega damage.
Yeah.
3, defender may parry and dodge or entangle. 4, attacker rolls damage. Step 5, defender may attempt to roll with impact. And that's it. And 2 against 1, combat terms, and moves. So that's it. That's all you can do in battle. Doesn't have any rules about moving. Doesn't have any rules about stunts. Doesn't have any rules about tactical combat.
It literally is shoot. I attack him.
Let's take a look here. Starts on 339, and the actual rules end on page 347. Then there's just, hand-to-hand combat bonuses. So it's just... And then damage and shit like that. So all of this, and then there's a whole thing about ranged weapons.
And your physical prowess has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole thing on psychic combat, which is 1 page. 2 pages. 3, 2.5. Perception rolls. Holy shit, there's perception rolls. Did you know that, Tom?
I knew they had done it in the new edition of Rifts.
It's a D20 roll with perception roll bonuses from OCCs or RCCs, so nothing from attributes.
No.
And then they have a list of modifiers from 4 to 17. 4 is very easy. 17 is very difficult. Perceiving supernatural involvement. And that's it. It's a page.
And listen, and kind of really hidden away in the book too.
Page 367, right after psychic combat.
Yeah, it's buried in the book.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, the third ed D&D book. You can criticize it, but at least they had like character creations first. Combat's next. General rules. Here's
and
there was an character creation skills.
And there was an index.
There was an index. So it was arranged in a logical order. that would make kind of sense. And most game systems have the rules arranged in kind of a sense that you would understand. So, like, so despite all this stuff, you can't really do much with Rifts. You have to, or any Palladium system. You have to, anything slightly out of that would be unusual in like a Dragon War, an old Nintendo role playing game. It is kind of like one of those old school RPGs where like you attack, spell, item, run. Like,
and you do a 2-frame animation after you win.
Yeah, and that's about it. Because you can't really do anything unusual in it. Or if you do, you have to make it up. You have no support from the book itself. So. It's very so it's kind of interesting to see this and see how games have evolved, and now we take all this shit for granted. So back when Palladium was there, it was the only game we knew. We didn't know that, like, oh shit, you can do this all this other stuff, because the people who ran it for us, I guess, this again kind of made it up as they went along. So, but once Third Ed started coming around, and then like, oh yeah, we can do this.
I think that's the thing is, like, a lot of other game systems have evolved. This Palladium just refuses to evolve.
I mean, we wouldn't talk into gossip, but yeah. I mean, I think it's just Kevin Sembieter realizes the cost of development is outweighed. Like, he's still making money doing this. So, like, from a business point of view, I can understand it. Like,
yeah, I don't fault him for that at all. And as I will say, like, I know I've said it, you've got everything. I still enjoy a lot of the Palladium settings.
Yeah, I mean,
Rift's actually not so much, but like Nightbane, I think is cool. Still, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the After the Bomb stuff, I enjoy that.
There's the Animal Creations, which was who's the guy who it wasn't Kevin
Eric Wuchik.
Wuchik, yeah,
Wuchik, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Wuchik, who sadly passed away several years ago, but he was a great game designer. That was far from his only work. But the animal mutation system was really interesting. I mean, it was a point-based system.
Yeah, and
there was nothing random about it.
No, I mean, there's random rolls to what you choose, but once again, that was optional.
Yeah, that was optional. But I'm talking about actually your mutation.
Yeah, actually making it. You purchase it.
Yeah, you purchase it, and you can pay for it, and you can get disadvantages by reversing mutations. You can, if you're a monkey, you could have less than partial hands or whatever, and
or your voice is hard to understand.
Right. So there were ways to get more, or shrink your size, become smaller, to get more bio-E points, so you could mutate in other ways or gain psychic powers. And that was really balanced, and that was really interesting, and
actually in that one
totally unlike everything else.
And I think I'll actually say, and that one, rolling for your background, which gave you all your skills, that made sense. Like, okay, how did your mutation occur?
Right.
And then, which would then determine, okay, if you were a deliberate experiment, you roll on this table.
Right.
And if it was an accidental, you roll on this one.
Right.
It made sense.
Right.
And you could actually get by, like, if you roll up the one, you don't get very, like, you're a completely feral animal who just brought himself up.
Right.
You still have enough skills there to make an interesting character and play the game and have fun.
Right. I mean, yeah, you can do those random things aren't totally, like, by inherently imbalanced. If you make every choice itself equal to the others, just distribute in other ways. Rain does that. A lot of One Roll Engine games do that. Where every choice you roll, but you add a bump, all the points are the number of skills and bonuses and whatever is still the same. So and it does provide some interesting role playing opportunities, especially for a pickup game. But so there are certainly elements of the game that work well, and of the setting, and
I really think if to ever run another Palladium game, I think that'd be the only one I'd really consider.
I wouldn't consider it. Like, I would just take the ideas that this gives me and run it in a system that actually makes sense. Like, just run it in GURPS. Like, GURPS can definitely model that.
Yeah, you can.
Or you could. There's actually a new Kickstarter RPG I bought called Karen, which is supposed to be like that. We'll get into that later on, or when I get the actual book. They're going to print it and send it in the next month or two. So when we get that, we'll do an actual play that.
And it goes back to once again, like, that's a great. I like the setting. I like the Nightbane setting.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, they have settings that I want to do in a different system.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to do a Nightbane game in a different system.
I mean, for me, like, I wouldn't do Nightbane itself. I would do something kind of inspired by it, but I'd do my own take on it. It's like the difference between doing, say, Godzilla, and then like saying, fuck it, I like the idea of kaiju. I'm just going to do Pacific Rim, like Guillermo del Toro. Have you seen the new trailer?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We're going.
Rocket punches. All right. Giant robot rocket
No,
punches.
off track. Actually, no, we're talking about Palladium. We're totally not off track there.
Yeah, that's basically Riffs, Pacific Rim, World Book 84. I'm Kevin Sibieda. That would be pretty fun.
So, as I said, I do not begrudge him. If he continues to have a successful company, that's his thing.
Well, I mean, you know,
Am I right? But as a gamer, I'm going to judge that.
yeah. I mean, you just have to look at what the product is, or what the quality of the game design is. And there have been so many common sense things that I think a lot of people who roleplay now just take for granted, that you have to go back and then you see this like living dinosaur of a game, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, games used to be hard to fucking manage. And you know, there are people obviously who still play Palladium and still have fun doing it. You know, like playing Robotech or something like that. And it's just, they are so used to it. I would be really surprised if there's any significant numbers of people playing Palladium as is. I would bet at least 80% of, I'm obviously totally guessing, but a vast majority, you know, 70-80% of the people who play Palladium house rule the shit out of it.
I would actually, that is a very fair assumption. I would totally agree.
Like that,
because I ran it. I did that all the time.
Yeah. You know, just everything from alignments to skills to we're taking shit from other systems and using it to all kinds of stuff. And there's, you know, nothing wrong with that. It's just, if you're doing all this work, why not just get a better system? You know, at least look at GURPS. GURPS can do everything you're looking for.
And it can do it well.
Yeah. GURPS people are, it's complicated. The art isn't as good. I mean, yeah, the art of GURPS isn't as good as in Riffs.
But, you know, you're looking, they're there for a generic universal role-playing system.
Yeah. And, like, they have books written by motherfucking Kenneth Haidt, and he's a really good writer. So you should just get...
You should.
Yeah. But, let's see, what else have we hit on? Yeah, no character traits. Yeah, no feats. Which are, again, that's super. You know, advantages, disadvantages, and GURPS. The reason I keep bringing up GURPS is because I ran a game of it last night, set in the Fallout world. The game's not over yet. It'll be 2 or 3 more sessions, so we'll post that.
Now, hopefully, I'll be able to jump in at some point.
Yeah,
I wasn't in it for the first session.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I would like to do it.
But the other thing, of course, is the alignment, which. Again, is even D&D has given that up. Like, you didn't even have that really in
4th ed.
Well, you kind of did.
Well, it was more like, you know, it was like unaligned, lawful good.
Yeah, they definitely toned it down. And I think for D&D next, they're going to make it, you know, like in Dungeons and Dragons makes sense because it's the actual part of the physical laws of the universe. Like, if you're good, the universe reacts differently to you than if you're evil.
Like your final destination will be different.
Among other things, yeah, but spells will affect you differently. So, you know, that kind of makes sense. It's like being made of fire, being made of ice. That shit matters in D&D. But for most in Rifts, it doesn't. You know, it's just like, I'm diabolic, I'm anarchist.
Well, and it's basically a thing that essentially, I think it's something your GM can use to remind you, hey, you shouldn't be burning down this orphanage here. You know, your alignment, your alignment says you shouldn't do that. I have memorized all the alignments of Palladium.
Okay, well, let's. You think you're a bad enough dude to remember all the alignments?
I think so.
All right, name all the alignments.
Starting with good, principled, scrupulous, unprincipled.
That's not a unprincipled. Is not a good alignment.
No, I'm going down in the order.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Unprincipled, anarchist, miscreant, aberrant, diabolic.
Technically aberrant, then miscreant, but maybe they just.
I'm just listing them off.
Yeah. I realized, why the fuck are they giving the political party an entire alignment? Anarchism is a political ideology. Like, it's like Republican, liberal as an alignment, you know?
That'd be awesome to have a game.
Parliamentarian, you know, like.
Monarchist.
Yeah, constitutional monarchist, +5. Like, isn't this offensive to anarchists? Like, some of the people who design Eclipse Phase are anarchists. Like, saying that all anarchists lie and cheat if he feels is necessary, feels it necessary, like that's offensive to anarchists, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Because there's peaceful anarchists. Like, they're some of them you could describe as hippie-ish or not, but, like, there's the, you know, ratto syndicalists and just... a syndicalist anarchist. I mean, there's just all kinds of crazy, well, not crazy, but different parties and groups, and take dirty money without hesitation. Possibly betray a friend. Sorry, pal. Like, seldom kill for pleasure. So, like, they're yeah.
So, when would you kill for pleasure?
Yeah. Oh my God. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting decisions in this. And one other thing is like the each character, like you said earlier, is done level 1 through 15, and you get experience points. And when you get certain experience points, you're raising level.
And I have to mention the experience system they have. It has a really great thing, but that's also it's the same thing as a really bad thing for it. Because I remember when I first picked up Palladium, it actually lists says a lot of games. I think it went a lot of the games focus on the kill factor, getting experience, but shouldn't the thought process count? And so they make this this experience system to try to incorporate like coming up with plans and all that, which is great. But then when you look at it, that is a shit ton of stuff to keep track of. Like basically, it's every time you make a successful skill roll, you get some experience. So you have to really do it as the book says. You have to keep track of every successful skill roll you make, and any plan, no matter how futile or useless.
It definitely encourages like a lot of old school games encourage very slow character growth, like where your character doesn't change very much from game to game. A lot of old school D&D games had that, where it take you multiple sessions just to get to level 2, and years to get up to the high levels or something like that. But looking at the Rift's experience point chart table, you get 10 to 25 experience points for performing the right skill at the right time for the right reason. And then, so that's the lowest one. So 10, 25 points, up to 700 points, experience points for a genuine life and death self-sacrifice in a situation where the character's heroism seems likely to cost him his life. Odds are the character will really die. So that's like, if you try jump in front of a grenade, but you somehow don't die, 700 experience. 700 is the absolute most for any of these things. Now, how much does it take to level up?
Actually, let's look at the Vagabond, which I think should have one of the lower
let's take a
ratios.
Look. All right, Vagabond, and I think you were right. I'm looking at all these. Yeah, he has the lowest required, lowest.
So how much does it take to get to level 2?
1,875 experience points. So you have to fucking jump in front of 2 goddamn grenades and some chains. Like, you gotta fucking kill some people. You gotta endangering your own life to self. There is one better. 1,000 points for a critical plan or action that saves the entire group and/or
basically like a scenario ending plan.
Yeah. So you do that, jump in front of a grenade, and then use some skills, and you can get to level 2, Mr. Hobo.
Good job.
But you better save the entire goddamn town. Jesus, you think this is where you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Goddammit! And then some fucking
for curiosity's sake, now they have it. What is the dragon?
Dragon hatchling. Yes, a being who is immortal, has the amount of can take as much damage as a tank, has magic spells, psychic abilities.
Who actually, with his breath weapon, is a tank.
Yeah, he needs more. He needs 3,000 experience points. To get to level 2, but
he can fall on a lot of grenades.
Yeah, elemental fusionists only need 2240. That's the other thing. It's all totally arbitrary. Like, one class needs 2050, one needs 1950, one needs straight 2000, 2150, 1900, 2300.
Yeah, that's what. Once again, going back to third ed, getting to level 2 was the same amount of experience for everyone.
Yeah, Jesus, and of course, there's nothing in this book about like balancing combat encounters, or this entire RPG. Like, there's nothing in this. This is all character creation stuff. There's literally nothing in this book about like what you can fight like for the GM. There's background setting material, but there's nothing about like, here's some monsters, here's a basic.
Oh, you need the world books for that,
right? So there's literally nothing for the GM. So this isn't even.
This is the player's guide.
Yeah, this is the player's book. This isn't even the full RPG, really. You need other shit to run this book. It's a good point. So, man, we've just been ragging this.
Well, I felt it needed to be done, and
does it feel better, Tom?
Well, the thing is, I'm always going to have a spot for this system in my heart. I always will.
It's kind of faded for me. I have to say,
it's faded for me for a little, but it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm always going to remember this is the system I started with.
I don't know. It's kind of jumped the shark. Elemental fusionists. I gotta say, I'm not feeling that.
Well.
Yeah.
Teach their own, Ross.
I like that they have, just to go and flip here, almost 3 full pages of, like 2.5 pages worth of rules for multiple personalities. Like, step 1, how many personalities? Roll percentile dice, 2 through 6. So you can have 2 through 6. Step 2, who is the dominant personality? Step 3, who are the other personalities? Name each one. Roll for a random alignment for each fucking personality. And then there's a 2-page chart to roll each personality.
Once again.
For good personalities and for evil personalities. Evil personalities include Jack the Ripper, traitor, greedy, kleptomaniac, bloodthirsty, megalomaniac, psychopath, seducer, manipulator, gluttonous, pig, and the pent-up vengeful victim. And what do the different personalities when do they take control? I mean, it's like each one of those is like, hey, I have an excuse to end a campaign. Like, this is just giving, like, asshole players all kinds of tools to, like, justify, like, yeah, my Jack the Ripper personality comes in, I just slit everyone's throat while they're asleep, and then I go steal all their shit and sell it and go, whoring. So
that's kind of like, that's a slight crazier. Like, I summon Azathoth.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, 3 pages for this.
Once again, like, all of it optional, but they spend so much time and space on it.
Yeah. This is all part of the crazy, for the crazies, OCC. So, yeah, there's a lot here. So, yeah.
And the thing is, I'll even say, some of the Rift's world books, I love the setting. I love some of the ideas
they actually just took some of those settings and cut them off from Rifts, retconned them, and make them just their own RPG with, like, GURPS rules or Fate that, like, they'd be playable.
Yeah.
Like, you could just, like, make it not Rifts. Like, extract
it. And that's the problem. Like, great story ideas with the books that are, unfortunately, Rifts.
But it's just, I mean, for me, like, now I can't even, the material, I could just look at it and be like, yeah, I'll do something kind of like, but do my own take on it. Like, I wouldn't, it's just too much work to try and salvage something from that. I don't have that many points. I can't put any extra points in my salvage skill. It's only 35%, Tom. Because I can't do anything.
You've been saving that one, haven't you?
Yeah, it just came to me.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty proud of it.
It's like,
I think I got a full 25 points of experience from that.
So what was that, Ross? I'd say, like, well, you went working on your banter. No. This is different. It's spontaneous. It's called wit.
Yeah. I must have rolled under my wit skill, my banter skill, which was 20% plus 4% per level. God damn it. So I got 25 points of experience for it.
Clearly, but not much IQ bonus. Not much IQ bonus.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That stung.
Yeah.
I failed.
Okay, actually, I will also say, once again, I will try to point out some things that I did enjoy. They did finally make it where having a very low stat has penalties.
Yeah.
I already mentioned that one time I made a Heroes Unlimited character who rolled up medical doctors, their education, with like a 3 IQ. I was like a barely sentient being with a doctorate.
I love that, though.
And I know, and there was no penalty, so I'm going to say it again. The person got shot, and I had to roll, and I rolled.
You can play that, though. You could be fucking Rain Man. You could just be
no. This was an IQ of like 30. That's barely human. And I expertly pulled it out, stitched up, healed it, and then howled in triumph with the bullet. Because I'm a horrific devolved monkey man who just surgically removed a bullet from you.
Again, some sort of idiot savant. So I don't know. That's how I do it. But yeah,
I'm even idiot savant with an IQ of 30, Ross. 30.
Yeah.
There are parrots that are more intelligent than that.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Huge slam on parrots. I don't know.
I like parrots.
No, you don't. You just insulted all of them, Tom.
I'm saying if that's the case, they could learn to surgically remove a bullet from.
Buy some parrots. That'll fix. That's Obamacare for us. Thanks, Obama. So,
it's freaking birds.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say about the Palladium system? I mean,
it's basically a blast from the past in not an entirely good way.
No, it's blast in the, like, riot police shooting tear gas at the crowd. and they're marching up front with their riot shields, beating their truncheons.
But they're coalition uniforms.
Yeah, of course. And they have mega damage jackboots stomping on your dice forever. All right, with that image.
All right, I think we've kind of covered this.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll have some letter from Tom, shout-outs, reader letter, and some anecdotes.
Sure thing.
All right, we'll be right back.
Well, it's December again. A time of cheer, goodwill towards men, and a material consumer culture that makes Caligula look like Gandhi. Not to mention cheery songs that you hear so frequently that by the time mid-month rolls around, you're ready to draw and quarter the next person you hear starting the first few lines of Jingle Bell Rock. But thankfully, I don't have to write a letter about Christmas this year. Yep, this is a special year, one that will never come around again. This is the year, according to the Mayan calendar, that the world will end. In fact, as of this recording, only 8 days remain to the end. So if you are listening to this and the world has already been transformed into a fetid husk of mass graves and ruin, where the tattered remains of humanity have been devolved into cannibalistic mutants, please disregard this letter. If not, you may listen on. What makes this particular end-of-the-world prediction unique is that it isn't the byproduct of some rambling religious whackjob living in a bunker in Montana, drinking his own recycled urine and talking to God on a two-way radio. No, this prediction comes from thousands of years ago, from an ancient and largely extinct civilization. It has the extra flair of coming from an ancient mystical source. Now, granted, almost all actual Mayans have said repeatedly that the date of December 21st, 2012 doesn't actually mean the end of the world, but rather just the end of their calendar cycle. I would like them to lie and say that it really does mean the end of the world, just so I can play with the perceived pandemonium just a little bit longer. Please, Mayans, I need this. Now, how can I tie this into gaming? I'm glad I asked. There are many games and scenarios that deal with the end of the world. Most of them deal with an impending doomsday and the players questing to make sure it doesn't happen. This is largely done by confronting a terrible god from beyond time and space, or defeating an insane villain with his own personal doomsday machine. Or the game/scenario can take place after the world has already ended. This is the classic Mad Max type scenario. The world as we know it has ended, and the heroes are either trying to make a new world out of the old, or just to make sure they personally survive for another day. I mention this because when you think about it, how many games or scenarios exist where the end of the world is only days away, and there is jack all shit you can do about it? The answer is not very many. When the players are faced with an impending doom, they expect to be able to play some part in being a solution. This could be both trying to stop it or making plans to make sure at least a pocket of civilization remains. This is the old small group in an underground shelter scenario. But what if it didn't matter what preparations were made? What if the end of the world meant just that? No survivors, no hope, no chance. Could a game be made out of that? The answer I've come up with is no. I don't believe you can. Why is this? Because when placed in front of a group of players, an inevitable end of the world will make players act like, well, players. It will most likely involve an orgy of violence and partying. When left with nothing left to do but wait for the end, most players will start fucking shit up. Real people left in this scenario would do the same. If there is no tomorrow, then party like a motherfucker for today. PCs would set things on fire, kill anyone that looked at them sideways, steal everything that isn't nailed down, and have sex with everything that comes into view. In other words, what PCs normally do when left to their own devices. So who needs a doomsday scenario to do that? So, if any gamers out there decide to celebrate the impending doom by playing a very special game, I say just do what you always do when the GM hasn't given you a mission yet. Set the tavern on fire, kill the other patrons, and fuck the bar wench. In other words, Saturday night. Happy Doomsday.
Well, that was just a great letter. Hopefully the aliens that recover this and translate it in their own bizarre binary language will
Yeah.
find it entertaining.
And hopefully, maybe
millions of years from now.
and maybe by then we'll be like brains in jars for the Migo.
No,
we
we'll be long dead because again, Mayan apocalypse.
Well, maybe our brains can be
I'm
taken.
saying the alien archaeologist.
I'm saying our brains could be taken first.
No.
And we could run games for the Migo.
No brains are going to survive the Mayan apocalypse, Tom.
All right, whatever. My brain will, maybe not
No,
yours.
no.
My brain rocks.
No.
My brain's worth saving, Ross.
Whatever helps you get to sleep at night. All right. So, shout outs. First off, the Story Bundle, storybundle.com. You can give us a goddamn Christmas gift. I haven't mentioned F. Paul Wilson and Zombies of the World.
Together.
Yeah, and other books. There are
Trust me, Ross's ego has indeed grown to dangerous proportions now.
I know all. I am bundled with all. So, yeah, get that.
You are filled with the joy of the bundle.
Yeah. Story Bundle.
Story bundle. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're goddamn right.
I'll get it right for posterity, Ross.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a shout out, Tom?
Yeah, I do.
All right, let's get
Fine.
your first one.
Everyone knows me and my love of old horror movies.
Yeah.
I found one from the 70s that the title is literally just 7 S's together. That's it. It's a movie from the 70s where a scientist wants to save people from the coming his end of the world by turning them into cobras.
What's the end of the world?
Pollution and all that kind of crap.
Okay.
He literally just mentions like the pollution and the famines that will render mankind extinct. You will survive being a cobra with the mind of a man. Apparently, that's his plan.
I like that.
That's his plan.
Pollution sucks, huh? Let's fix that. How do we get people to survive? Let's just brainstorm, people. Come on. Let's think outside the box.
Okay,
all
it's like, all right, this may sound crazy.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Okay.
We turn people into snakes, cobras that can think like a man.
Stop digging, you pick gold.
Exactly.
All right, so
and the effects are, wow.
Yeah.
It's 1970s special effects, low budget.
Low budget. I was going to say that this is not that even by 1970 standards, this is low budget. Like bad.
Yeah. Oh, and also the fan, like the daughter of this scientist.
Yeah.
They have like this pet, like python, that is, it's not a pet.
Yeah.
This is like sibling type crap.
Okay.
Where like it, there's gonna be a spoiler here. Watch out.
Oh, man.
It gets killed, and they're like crying and mourning over it. That kind of family.
Well, yeah, it's snakes. Families.
Cobras with human brains.
Yeah, goddamn.
Yeah.
All right, so my next shout out is a novel I read recently called The Drift. It is a Stargate SG-1 novel.
Okay.
It is. I don't normally read these, obviously. I mean, I like Stargate. I'm not a hardcore dedicated fan, but a friend of mine wrote it, Diana Botsford, and so I gave it a read, and it's actually pretty good because it's interesting because one, she really understands the canon of Stargate, and she gets into the characters, and she shows like what's going on in between episodes. Like, hey, Jack, becomes a general, and so he has a shitload of paperwork to do. Yeah, he's constantly.
They don't mention that part.
Yeah, they don't mention that part in the show, and he's like, it's not just a minor thing. It's like, God, I have to. He spends his entire flight to Antarctica doing fucking paperwork, and just like, got to write more letters to the women who won't see their man come home again, or their families won't come home because the soldiers died.
It reminds me of like the guys the creative consultants to Hot Fuzz thank them for showing the paperwork you have to do after making arrests.
Nice. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that I liked about it is, it gets into the characters and sort of like she does this interesting thing where she has a parallel story going where she's trying to illustrate a problem with the character of Jack with her own original character. Like they both have a similar problem and they're both pursuing their redemption in a different way.
Right.
And she also does a lot of research for Antarctica. And so if you're interested in Antarctica, McMurdo Station, the history, how to survive in Antarctica, the kind of culture there. I mean, it's not all about that, obviously, because it's fucking Stargate and there's some mischief going on, but there's some interesting ideas in it, and it's like $5 for the ebook version. So if you're a fan of Stargate, it's worth checking out, and even if you're not, if you like any of the things I mentioned, it's worth checking out as well.
Fantastic.
So, anyways.
Okay, I got one next. This one's actually a mod for Skyrim.
Yeah.
I really love the Skyrim workshop.
On Steam.
There's some great stuff there.
Yeah.
One in particular that caught my fancy, I believe it is called The Works of Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And it's literally every single story Lovecraft wrote and got published in book form in Skyrim. So, before I came to record this episode, me and my Argonian and Dragonborn adventurer was running around, and then I stopped and sat down in my house that I had built with Hearthfire. Awesome. And read The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath.
Okay.
It's in 8 books, but it's every story word for word in book form.
The reading's fun, but I just don't like having to actually look at a book or something like that. Why can't I read while I'm pretending to be an elf or a lizard person in a fantasy world? There's got to be a better way.
And you know what? God bless it, there is. It gets better.
Yeah, it does. So,
that was awesome.
It gets, but that's totally misusing. It gets better there, Tom. But that
no.
Okay. All right.
The more you know.
The more you know. There we go. Next up, I'd like to give a shout out to Miskatonic River Press. Again, just a little note, conflict of interest here. I actually do some freelance work for them converting their print books into ebook format because I've been learning a lot how to do that lately. So I've converted a season in Carcosa, which is a book of Haster, King and Yellow story.
Wow, yeah.
That's actually how I got the job. Say, hey, you guys have this Kindle format? I can do it. Pay me some money and I'll do it.
Hail Haster.
Yeah, basically. And they have a bunch of books. They actually have a Kickstarter right now. It's in its last week for Punktown, which is a setting you'd be interested in. It's called Cthulhu plus Cyberpunk, or it's the Cthulhu Mythos plus Cyberpunk. It's a series of horror cyberpunk novels called Punktown. That's the name of the setting, and they've got bioorganic motorcycles and all kinds of.
It's kind of like the Cthulhu Punk GURPS book.
Yeah, a little like that, but it's set in. It uses Call of Cthulhu rules for it. They just made their goal, but they're trying to reach some stretch goals.
Sure.
So I'm going to try this get up. So you guys, in the last couple of days, if you're a big horror fan, I put into it because I want to get the PDF as well. So yeah, check that out.
Awesome.
And then
I have one. I have another. Yeah. This one's actually a little different for me.
Okay.
This is it's actually a G-rated animated movie with singing, with music, like songs in it, like a musical, which I normally never ever do. I'm actually not a big fan of some Pixar movies. Others I am.
And which ones are those, Toms?
Well, WALL-E. I did like WALL-E.
Okay.
WALL-E was great.
Which ones didn't you like, Tom? This is important.
I'm not going to talk about it, Ross.
Oh, I see how it is.
But there's one I found from France that actually was kind of interesting. It's called A Monster in Paris. Uh-huh. And it's essentially, set in 1910 Paris, and the monster is actually a flea that was grown to human sized.
Okay.
But yeah, I know it. When I first saw like A Monster in Paris, like, ooh, a monster movie. Oh, it's an animated movie. Then I started watching, like, it's kind of cute actually. Uh-huh. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm watching this, aren't I? And yeah, it's I kind of.
It's the thing that I watched and I liked.
Yeah, and it's French. It's a foreign movie.
What's wrong with the French? They do good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's America. We're not supposed to like the French.
Oh my god.
Freedom fries. Right?
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Neocon.
Yeah.
Go back to watching 24. Fox News. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, torture.
Go shoot your friend in the face while you're hunting, huh? Yeah,
because I'm Dick Cheney.
That's what the insult was about. Thank you.
Yes, I know.
That, Tom.
I remember.
Yeah, topical.
I watch the news.
Oh yeah,
I'm Topical Tom. That's me.
Well, not exactly topical,
but no, it's a good movie, and actually, it's hard to get though. I had to get it on Amazon Canada.
Yeah,
because it's not released it's not available anywhere else for Region 1 DVDs.
What's that all about?
I don't know, eh?
Yeah. Canadians, please don't hate us. We're sorry. We're just ignorant.
You have a better healthcare system than we do.
We don't know what we're doing. All right. So finally, I have 2 shout outs for Steam games that I have been playing a little bit lately. One is one I actually got for Christmas from Aaron, which was Dead Pixels, which is a side-scrolling game kind of like River City Ransom, only you run around shooting zombies. $3 on Steam. So
Wow.
I put
Aaron
that on
cares about you.
I put it on my wish list, and I was like, "Yeah, I like that. I won't pay myself, but yeah, that looks kind of good."
Did someone buy that for me?
Yeah, someone buy that for me, and they fucking did. Yes, all right. So
That's called respect.
it's worth the $3. I was playing it last night, and then Legend of Grimrock. I might have mentioned this months and months ago, but I finally got around to actually playing it in depth, and it's a first-person dungeon crawler game, but it's old school. Like it's like Eye of the Beholder or Wizardry or one of those other things where you go in straight lines and you can rotate 90 degrees, and you have a party of 4, and there's four races.
I remember those games. I actually have Wizardry.
Well, there's a ton of Wizardries. The first one is like 1980. Yeah,
mine's 6.
Yeah, Wizardry 1 is like 1980. So, but Legend of Grimrock was made by like 4 guys in Scandinavia, and I don't know which country. I forgot.
Scandinavia?
Somewhere up there where it's cold and wintry, and everybody has names with lots of eyes,
Kierkegaard.
Something like that. I'm sorry, people of Europe.
We're Americans. We can't help it.
So the races are human, minotaur, and insect, and that's it. And there's 3 classes: human, mage, and rogue. And basically, I love the setup of this, which is like you're all prisoners in the king's prisons, and he takes 4 of you, and you guys look strong. We're gonna fly you up to the top of Mount Grimrock, and we're gonna pardon you. You'll be pardoned once we kick you in this dungeon that no one's gotten out of. If you get out, you'll be free, but good luck. Yeah, the manual actually explains that the king just wants to know what's in the fucking dungeon. So every year he sends up the strongest men and women in all of his prisons and pardons them, but kicks them into the dungeon. And so, like, it's just, he's like, I want to know what's in there. And he doesn't want to use up his own soldiers or knights.
So King George W.?
No, I don't know.
So the Kingdom of Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly. So you've all been pardoned, but you're all basically start out with nothing so you work your way down the mountain. There's like 13 levels total. And what's interesting is it's different from a lot of other dungeon crawls. While there is the typical stuff of fighting monsters, finding items, there's no shops, there's no gold. Like you can find treasures, but there's no reason to carry the treasures around. There's just like you get an achievement if you find all 7 of them, but that's it. Like so, there's literally there's just dead weight. You can find golden statue. Well, fine, fuck it, throw it away. Like I kept it just for role. Like I was like role playing my own characters. Like we're gonna be rich when we get the fuck out of here and shit like that. And there's no healing spells either. You actually there's only a limited number of healing items. You actually have to make potions. Like get an herb, get an empty bottle, and then use that to make a healing potion. You have to keep the bottle and reuse it. So a
little Zelda Link to the Past there.
A little bit, but what's really cool is like they have these puzzles that are actually it's not turn-based, it's in real time. So like a lot of puzzles you have to move over trapdoors before they close. Like there's one puzzle you hit a lever and like there's a 4x4 grid of trapdoors that are all open, but one will open and for just like 3 seconds, and then another one will open. You have to move onto it in time. So it's like a timing rhythm game almost, as you have to move around there. And a lot of it's based on physics and like pit trap logic, where like there's the key that I need to escape this level is on this pressure plate. Well, if I put another item on it and then take the key, I won't trigger the trap that will kill me. It's got a lot of clever ideas like that, and I love the fact that you don't have healing spells, you don't have item shops, you don't have inns. You really are in this fucking dungeon. You can't get out, and so I finally beat it last a couple days ago, and they actually have a Steam Workshop for it too, and people are already adding their own levels to it. So there's a ton of new levels for it as well, their own dungeons and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's worth checking out. And like the spellcast system is interesting too, because like you click on the icon to cast a spell, and you're just presented with a 3x3 row of like runes. And you have to click on the runes you want to use. You have to actually remember which runes, like this rune and this rune cast Frostbolt, but this one and this one doesn't do a goddamn thing. So you actually have to remember what runes to cast, and in what order. You have to level up your skill in order to cast certain spells. You actually have to find scrolls that tell you what the spell. Well, you don't have to find them. You can actually just metagame and look on walkthroughs like, oh, this rune and this rune, that casts that spell I need. So
Nice.
yeah, it's really fun. I would recommend it to people for who want to have fun playing video games.
And Minotaurs are awesome.
Minotaurs are actually, like, I named the characters after No Evil. Like, Phaeon was the female Minotaur warrior who was the frontline tank. And you have 4 characters max. And so the other one was actually Gerard, who was a human fighter. And then there was Preston, the lizard man rogue, who actually had an ability he could attack from the back ranks with his dagger, so he was an assassin kind of. And then of course Bartleby, the insect mage.
Oh yeah.
And actually Phaeon, the Minotaur warrior, was just fucking dominating. I just after a certain point I just started dumping all her points into axe. And if I got the most powerful axe in the game, it was like hit, miss, 300 damage. And like monsters might have 500 hit points at most. So like I was just one-shotting a lot of monsters with the fucking Phaeon.
So reminds me of that best line you ever said from a game when a player was playing a Minotaur.
Yeah.
First step in, like, yep, I'm a Minotaur. Hide the China.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome line.
So who said that?
It was like it was a fourth ed game you played that I wasn't in.
Oh, okay. God, I
think
know.
it's probably one of the ones Bill and Dan ran.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, he ran a bunch of games which I have recorded, but I've made them available on one of the ransoms, but I've never gotten much feedback on that. And also, those campaigns never ended; like they kind of just fizzled away.
Which is often the fate of campaigns.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate.
I think we mentioned that in an episode before.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. That's always
it is.
So, anyways, we have anecdotes and
a listener letter.
Yes. Why don't we read the listener letter?
Why don't you do that, Ross?
All right. From Jacob. Oh hi RPPR crew, and he spells it with an A. Oh hi, yeah.
I see what he did.
Yeah,
clever.
Warm wishes for a cold season of joy. Keep up the good work. And all right, now to the point. I'm familiar with the King in Yellow, and a big fan of your Carcosa themed scenarios, and a teacher at my place, not USA. I'd like to share something with you. Today, older kids from my school, elementary, prepared for a pre-Xmas play to show off their talents, blah, blah, and the rest of the pupils that the school attended and truly enjoyed it. The basic plot of the play was characters from 5 or so well-known children's stories meet up as they learn some badass 3 witches mix their realms together. They must go to the King Baj, the king of children's stories, and ask him to undo the bad done by the witches. They succeed, but the king isn't powerful enough to undo the spell himself, so he asks the audience, other children, to yell with him an elaborate incantation, Santa Claus, come forth and make all well. Something like that. Then, and I swear I felt I lose my sanity, an impossibly tall Santa Claus enters the hallway where the play took place and approaches King Baj. Long story short, all ends well. Instantly, in my head, materialized an actual play idea, obviously a Christmas-themed one. Why not make the players role elementary school teachers? As the day of works progresses, they could witness extreme brutality on the other side of the teachers and principal, beating children, etc. The PCs would explore the Carcosa-infested school building, and the end attend a kind of play described above. Then the King in Yellow would enter only in Santa Claus robes. I hope you get my point there. Smiley face. Anyways, keep safe, RPPR crew. Jake.
The King in Yellow was Santa Claus.
Mother of God. Wow. I don't know what to say.
What can you say?
Exactly. What can you say? That's wow.
Just that.
Carcosa infected school. That's
an elementary school.
I like that. I like that a lot. I actually probably wouldn't do Call of Cthulhu with that. I think I would probably do Monsters and Other Childish Things. But I think I totally
or Little Fears.
Well, I think I'll do Monsters because I'm more familiar with the system, and they had the rules for weird kid skills. So I'll just do that because we all know One Roll Engine now. So
we do.
So that would just be easy.
I'm actually pretty confident making monsters now too.
Cool.
Yeah, doing that. I mean, that's the part that takes a little bit of getting used to.
It does. Well, the whole matching rolls does, but yeah, that's the most abstract part. So anecdote.
We love you, One Roll Engine.
So yeah, did you have any anecdotes you wanted to use in particular, Tom?
Let's see. I haven't really played in much lately.
Yeah, we've just been doing the one shots, and we have been doing actually Iron Heroes. Fortunes of War, which you've not been able to take part in because of your schedule.
Work.
Yes, but...
Damn you, money!
Just to give you a little more hint of what's to come.
I'm sorry, Master. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, money.
Yes. One mustn't offend the god capitalism, especially in his holy month. So.
Yeah, indeed.
In the RPPR actual play campaign of Iron Heroes Fortunes of War, the first 2 episodes of which are on the actual play are in the Base Raiders Ransom, or not Ransom, but preview episodes. The players in the last session had to raid this island and rid it of pirates. Actually, they had to kill the pirate queen and recover a set of scrolls that had encrypted messages on them, although the players didn't know that at first. They were asked to do this by the Bankers Guild. The Bankers Guild, they did what the Bankers Guild wanted. The Bankers Guild would finance them to, for their business ventures, their personal goals, all this other shit. They'd extend them credit and all this other shit. So the players were like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. It sort of comes down to the players starting basically a slave revolt on the pirate island. And actually before they do that though, what's really actually Jason told you about this too.
He did, yeah.
He did before they even get this. At one point they want to check out these barracks near these pirate barracks near the slave quarters. Because they basically put this guardhouse to make sure the slaves don't escape, even though they're on an island. The pirates are kind of,
paranoid.
Paranoid. So the 2 players, Jason and Aaron, have disguised themselves as pirates, and they're trying to get into but there's one guard, and he's like, "Who the hell are you guys?" "Oh yeah, we're with you." "Oh yeah, what ship are you on?" And then they make one hell of a roll, and like the sharks laugh. And they're like, "Okay, what are you doing here? I thought this is punishment for people." And then they totally botch all of their roll. Jason and Aaron both just cannot get a cover story straight, like why they should be let in. So the pirate, and they fail multiple bluff checks and diplomacy checks, and they refuse to. And if the pirate doesn't realize that they're here as spies. He just thinks that they're trying to cause trouble or pick a fight or steal someone's money. So like, just bribe me and I'll let you in. And they're like, "No, we're not going to do that. We have principles."
Bribery's wrong.
Oh my god! And just Aaron could not make a roll to save his life. Jason refused to accept to give out a bribe. It was just like, and Caleb was just could not. He so wished there was TACnet so he could yell some sense into them, but no TACnet. No TACnet. Later on, they use siege weapons. On various places. It was a great battle. So there was a lot of chaos.
Yeah. I also ran the second run of that Pablo Escobar game.
Yes. What do you want to? What have you learned?
Actually, I've learned quite a bit. Once again, I don't want to give up. I don't want to say too much, but I will say I think the second one went it was a lot better.
Yeah.
And now, and using that one, I think the third one will be even better. Okay. Which I'm going to run that for a different group, though. I'll be heading out of town in early January, and I'll be running it for a group in Seattle.
Ooh, cool. Well, we'll look forward to hearing your.
I'm taking the H2, so I'll be recording it.
One of the H2s, not my H2.
My H2.
Yes. Because all hail actually, I just got an email from another podcast, Carpe Diem, and they.
I like that name.
You listen to Carpe Diem?
No, that's a great name.
Oh yeah, it is. Was it Carpe Diem? No, it was some other. It was another. It was actually another. They did email me, but it wasn't about the Zoom H2. There was another podcast that I think it was called Little Big Table or something like that, or Big Table or Big Table RPG or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm screwing up horrible names. They messaged me on Twitter saying like, "Oh, thanks to your advice, we got our own Zoom H2. It's working great." And I'm just like, hell yeah,
it's Zoom H2, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's a really fucking good digital recorder, and
it's the best.
It is.
And you will love it.
It is. Yeah, pretty much.
Or you will die.
Well, whoa, just not. You don't need to go. So I have
death, Ross. No. Death.
It's okay, Tom. We know how you feel about the Zoom H2.
I have like psychosexual response to it every time I hear it, Ross. You know this.
All right. And
on that note,
yeah, you are a bit mega damaged.
Whoa.
Yes. All right, making that a little topical. All right.
Punny.
So on that note, this is probably a good time to end the episode. So this has been Role Playing Public Radio, RPPR episode 81, Mega Damaged. And this is Ross Payton.
And I'm Tom
Church. And
we will catch you. We'll catch you after the apocalypse. Yeah.